They say she was born in a storm. Not thunder or rain, but something colder. A silence so deep, the ship's crew refused to speak of it afterward. In 1873, Milwaukee's German quarter would never forget the girl with the gray eyes. Not because she spoke much, she rarely did, but because when she did speak, people died. Emma Richter was 11 when the whispers began. Not the sweet kind children hear in fairy tales, but the kind that slip through locked doors and rot inside you. She could tell you the exact number of buttons on your coat from memory. Tell you that your shoelace was tied differently yesterday. That your husband had left the bakery at 6:47 a.m. instead of 6:51. And why that 4-minute difference would lead to his death in 2 weeks. The men laughed at first. Just numbers, they said, until she told the brewery foreman his liver would fail at precisely 2:14 p.m. He dropped dead at 2:14 while lifting a barrel of hops. By nightfall, the laughter stopped. Emma lived on Galena Street, in a modest brick house shadowed by coal smoke and Lutheran shame. Her father Henrik brewed beer. Her mother Greta folded laundry in silence, and Emma sat by the kitchen window, staring at the world with surgical detachment, watching, counting, calculating. At first, the neighbors pitied her. A pale girl born premature, at sea an immigrant child who didn't play with others. But by the winter of 1872, the pity curdled into fear. You see, Emma didn't just remember things, she predicted them. And when she spoke, it wasn't as a child guessing. It was as a machine revealing cold, statistical truth. She told Mrs. Brennan her husband was meeting the widow, Newman, behind the rectory, every second Thursday. Gave her the time, the duration, the number of steps it took from the church pew to her rival's door. Within days, the two women came to blows in the market, and Mr. Brennan fled town. Emma had been watching him for months. Milwaukee's German quarter in the 1870s was tight-knit, like a quilt stitched from old country gilt. Immigrants clung to routine, beer gardens, prayers, patterns. But Emma? She tore those patterns open like a seamstress with a scalpel. She didn't mean harm, not exactly, but she believed in something deeper than decency, mathematical certainty. That February, she told her father something that changed everything. Mr. Dietrich will die today, 2:14 p.m. Her father choked on his breakfast. Emma, don't say such things. He increased his alcohol intake by 37% over 17 days. He walks 251 steps to the brewery. It used to be 244. When pattern deviation exceeds 10%, a fatal outcome occurs within 72 hours. For him, it's 2:14 p.m. Her voice was soft, deadpan, icy. Henrik slapped the table. You're a child. But at 2:14, Mr. Dietrich dropped dead beside the brewing vats. That night, Greta wept beside Emma's bed. Do you want these things to happen? She whispered. Emma turned her face slowly. I only calculate what is already true. Outside, the wind howled off Lake Michigan, stirring chimney smoke like a curse. Inside, the silence wrapped around the Richter family like a noose. By spring, 3 would be dead, and Emma ... Emma had already begun predicting the next. They stopped calling her gifted. Now they called her cursed. By March, Emma's eyes were no longer just unsettling, they were feared. People in the German quarter crossed the street to avoid her. Children ran when she passed. The baker refused to meet her gaze when handing over bread. And when the priest, a man sworn to welcome, all began shortening his visits to their home, Greta Richter knew something terrible was coming. Emma didn't mind. She didn't need kindness. She had numbers. Every day she sat by the same window, her leather-bound journal open, her pencil scratching quietly. She didn't play. She plotted. The pages filled with sequences, grids, diagrams of footsteps, breathing patterns, consumption habits. To Emma, people were as readable as equations, and she knew when the variables broke. "Mrs. Weber will be caught," she said one morning while peeling potatoes with her mother. Greta froze. "Caught? What do you mean?" "At 11:03 a.m. Her husband will find her with Mr. Kellner in the brewery office. Violence probability, 92%. Henrik, listening from the doorway, paled. Emma continued. Mrs. Weber's walking route changed by 7 minutes per week. Mr. Kellner's office. Usage increased by 33 minutes daily. Mr. Weber's delivery route will shorten tomorrow due to a limping horse lame in the left foreleg. I've observed its gait. Emma, stop, Greta whispered, tears in her voice. You can't speak like this. You don't know. I do, she said. The math says so. And just as she predicted, at 11:03 the office door was ripped open, revealing betrayal in sweat and panic. By noon, Mr. Kellner had a broken nose, and Anna Weber's blood stained the brewery floor. But the wound that bled deepest was fear. People no longer asked how Emma knew. They asked what she'd seen, because behind every word was proof. Behind every prediction pane. The neighborhood changed. Doors stayed locked. Curtains were pulled tighter. Emma was called the ghost girl, the clockwork child, the devil's notary. They didn't say it to her face, but the space they left around her spoke louder than any insult. Emma didn't flinch. She simply began tracking more. She mapped secrets buried in gardens, measured the precise space between coughs, tracked menstrual cycles, marital infidelity, illicit payments. People thought they were clever sneaking off, changing routes. But Emma saw everything. She counted steps. She timed glances. She calculated guilt. And then, one April morning, she looked up and said, There will be a fire. Zimmerman's house. Sunday, 8:47 p.m. 3 homes will burn. He will die in his kitchen. Henrik dropped his cup. You mustn't say these things, Emma. But she only read from her book. Zimmerman has been drinking lamp oil mixed with spirits. The chimney is compromised. Soot spread is uneven by 14 degrees. His wife's absence increases risk. Fire probability, 93%. They warned Mr. Zimmerman. He laughed, called Emma a freak. But on Sunday night, at exactly 8:47, the sky over Galena Street burned red. The flames swallowed Zimmerman and 3 neighboring homes. His body was found curled around an empty oil lamp. That's when the last thread of normalcy snapped. People didn't doubt Emma. They believed her. And that's what terrified them most. If she could predict fire, scandal, death, what else had she seen? And more disturbingly, what was she waiting to reveal next? If you felt the chill of this truth creeping in, comment, "The pattern sees all," twice below. Your eyes are opening. And if you want more stories this dark, like, share, and subscribe now. The worst is yet to come. May 1st, 1873. The morning sunlight spilled over Milwaukee like forgiveness. But inside the Richter home, something irreversible had already begun. Emma's journal, thick with numbers, maps, and diagrams, had become her gospel. She barely slept, barely spoke, except to announce outcomes that hadn't yet happened. That morning, she turned to her father and said, "Papa, I need to show you something important. The patterns. They've revealed a deeper structure." Henrik sat beside her, trembling. Emma opened to a page labeled, "Anomalous Behavioral Convergence minus 26-month pattern." "For over 2 years," she began calmly, "7 men in our community have deviated from baseline behavior on a repeating weekly cycle Wednesdays at midnight. The variables sync. The deviations are too clean, too synchronized. This is no longer isolated activity. It's organized." She laid out charts, maps, financial discrepancies, down to the ounce of grain missing from the brewery logs. Mr. Kellner, Mr. Zimmerman, Mr. Kruger, Mr. Weber, Mr. Steinberg, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Wolf, all involved. Henrik's mouth was dry. Involved in what? Emma didn't blink. Theft, fraud, and perhaps murder. Estimated total, $47,000 stolen over 26 months. Adjusted for market inflation and trade inflation curves, they siphoned nearly 11% of total brewery value without detection. Her voice was soft, inarguable, inhuman. Emma flipped to another page. Delivery route inconsistencies, falsified shipment dates, increased spending among the men, far beyond their known wages. She had evidence of mail sent abroad, bribes paid in pattern, and physical convergence points marked on her map. "But that's not all," she said, her gray eyes locking on her father. "Kellner knows I'm watching. He's been outside our home twice. 17 minutes each time. Last time, he carried something under his coat. His breathing was shallow, pulse elevated. Stress markers indicate pre-decisional aggression. Henrik couldn't breathe." Emma continued, "Probability of targeted action against our family, 84%. Peak window, next 72 hours. They were no longer fearing Emma's predictions. They were running from them. Henrik met Dr. Muller under darkness, showed him the journal. The doctor went pale as he scanned the pages that read like indictments and execution orders. The theft ring Emma uncovered was real, and if Kellner knew, retaliation was inevitable. Dr. Muller made a decision, a job offer, a false summons, a silent escape. By that night, the Richter family was gone. They vanished before sunrise, fled to Minnesota under forged pretense. Emma never said goodbye. But as Henrik loaded the last bag onto the wagon, Emma looked back at their home, then calmly said, "3 of the 7 won't survive the investigation. You'll see." And they did. Within 6 months, federal agents uncovered the theft ring. Kellner was arrested. Wilhelm Weber was found dead in his parlor, gunshot to the head. Steinberg drowned in a riverbank with bricks in his pockets. Kruger died of sudden heart failure, though Dr. Muller later admitted the symptoms matched a specific poison. Emma had been right. Even hundreds of miles away, her predictions held. Even silence couldn't stop her calculations. The family settled in New Ulm, where Emma was studied by a local math professor who whispered, "She's not a child. She's a lens." But Emma remained unchanged, still watching, still counting, still peeling back the layers of human deception with chilling detachment. Her journal, later reviewed by investigators, contained predictions of scandals and tragedies yet to happen, some that would come. True years later. Affairs, disappearances, deaths. She had written them all before she fled. Her final documented words? "The math sees you, even when you lie." Then she disappeared from history. No grave, no marriage record, no obituary, only numbers, only fear, only legend. And to this day, some say Emma Richter wasn't just ahead of her time, she was outside of it. Proof that our secrets are not protected by silence, but exposed by pattern. Because somewhere, someone is still watching, still counting, and still waiting for your next move.